I sat at the kitchen table and sipped my tea. It was Tuesday. The morning light was clean and pale. I watched a robin on the lawn. It pulled at a worm. The routine was my anchor. The house was quiet. It was my quiet. The doorbell rang. It was 10:15. I wasn't expecting anyone. I set my cup down. The china made a soft click on the oak. I walked to the front hall. I looked through the side window. My daughter's car was in the driveway. Ilara's silver sedan. It was parked behind my own. I felt a small lift, a surprise visit. That was nice. I opened the door. Ilara stood there. She held a large cardboard box. It looked heavy. Her smile was wide. It was almost bright. "Mom," she said, surprise. "This is a lovely one," I said. "Come in." She stepped inside. She carried the box past me. She set it down in the front hall. She straightened up. She brushed her hands together. "I need to talk to you," she said. "It's important." "Let's go to the kitchen," I said. "I just made tea." We sat at the table. She didn't want tea. She looked around the room. Her eyes moved over the counters. They moved over the fridge. They felt like a gentle inspection. "How are you, Mom?" "I'm well," I said. "The tulips are coming up, the red ones by the fence." "That's nice," she said. Her voice was soft. "Listen, I've been worried." "Worried? About what?" "About you here, all alone, in this big house." "It's not that big," I said. "And I'm not alone. I have the garden, I have my books. I have my bridge group on Thursdays." "But the stairs, Mom, the yard work, the bills, it's a lot." She leaned forward. She put her hand over mine. Her hand was warm. "I want to help. Let me help." I looked at her hand. Her nails were perfectly manicured, a pale pink. "You do help, you call, you visit." "I mean real help, practical help. I was thinking I could move in for a little while, a month or two, just to get things sorted for you." I was quiet. The idea was large. It filled the kitchen. "Move in, but you have your apartment." "My lease is up next month. It's perfect timing. I can stay here. I can help you organize. We can go through Dad's old things in the study. You've been saying you wanted to do that." I had said that years ago, after Martin died. I said it once. I never found the strength to start. "It's a big imposition on you," I said. "It's not. It's what family does. Please, let me do this, for me. It would make me feel so much better, knowing you're not managing everything alone." Her eyes were earnest. They were my daughter's eyes, blue like her father's. She was offering care. How could I refuse care? "If you're sure," I said, "a month or two." Her smile returned. It was relief. "Yes, just to get you settled. It'll be nice, like a project." She stood up. She went to the box in the hall. She brought it into the kitchen. She began unpacking it onto the counter. A new electric kettle, a digital photo frame, a pill organizer with 7 compartments, a large calendar with big squares. "I brought a few things to get us started," she said. Her voice was cheerful. "This kettle has temperature control, better for your joints, no lifting a heavy one. The photo frame, I'll load it with pictures. For the living room, this calendar, we'll put all your appointments here, in one place, so we both can see." She arranged the items. They looked foreign on my counters. They were shiny. They were new. "That's very thoughtful," I said. "It's nothing," she said. "Now, why don't you show me where you keep your bills? Let's start there." That was how it began, with a box of helpful things and a request to see my bills. The first week was pleasant. Ilara was efficient. She set up the photo frame. It cycled through pictures of her brother Leo, who lived overseas, old family photos. It was nice to see them. She sorted the mail. She made a pile for me. She made a pile for herself. "Just to take the load off," she said. She sat with me at the desk in the study. She opened the filing cabinet. She pointed to the folders. "Let's get a system going," she said. "All the household accounts in one, medical in another, insurance here." Her system made sense. I agreed to it. She suggested we add her name to my checking account. For convenience, she said, so I can pay the gardener or order groceries online for you. You won't have to write checks. It sounded practical. I went with her to the bank. The teller knew me. She smiled. Your daughter is so helpful, she said. I nodded. She is. We signed the forms. It was a joint account now. My pension deposited there. My small investment dividends, all of it. At home, Alara set up online banking on her laptop. She showed me the screen. See, now we can both see everything. Total transparency. I saw the numbers. They looked small on the bright screen. And Mom, she said gently, I noticed a few questionable subscriptions. That charity that calls you every month, that magazine you never read. I went ahead and canceled them to save you the hassle. I thought about the charity. I liked the woman who called. She had a kind voice. But perhaps Alara was right. It was just money going out. Thank you, I said. Of course, that's what I'm here for. She started driving me to my appointments, my annual physical, my eye doctor. She came into the exam rooms with me. She took notes on her phone. She asked questions. Is that dosage still correct? Could that slight forgetfulness be a side effect? The doctors smiled at her. They praised her involvement. You're lucky to have such a devoted daughter, my physician said. I said I was. At home, she began to cook. She made healthy meals, lean proteins, steamed vegetables. She said my diet needed more structure. She cleared out the pantry. She threw away my oatmeal cookies. She said they were full of sugar. We have to think about your heart, Mom. I missed my cookies, but I didn't say so. Then came the suggestions about the house. These rugs are a trip hazard, she said one evening. She pointed to the Persian runner in the hall. It was a gift from Martin, from a trip long ago. They've been here 40 years, I said. I know where every thread is. But your balance isn't what it was, and the lighting in this hallway is terrible. Let me get a quote for some recessed lights, and we'll roll up this rug for now. The rug was rolled up. It leaned in the corner of the living room. It looked like a forgotten soul. The hall felt cold without it. The floor was bare hardwood. She had a contractor friend come over. He was a polite man. He walked through the house. He pointed to things. The single step into the sunroom. The bathroom without grab bars. The slippery tiles in the kitchen. Liability, he said to Alara, and a risk for your mother. Alara nodded seriously. We need to make it safe. She showed me estimates. The numbers were large. They made my breath catch. I can't afford this, I said. We'll use the home equity line, she said. The house has so much value just sitting. We should use it to improve your quality of life. It's an investment. Martin and I paid off the mortgage, I said. My voice was faint. I don't want another one. It's not a mortgage, Mom. It's a line of credit, just for these necessary modifications. And maybe a new roof. The inspector said it's nearing end of life. We don't want a leak. She made it sound inevitable, like the weather. I signed the papers. She arranged it all. She said it was easier if she handled it. My signature was needed in a few places. I signed. The noise started the next week. The banging from the bathroom, the dust everywhere. Plastic sheets hung in the doorways. Men walked in and out. Alara was in her element. She directed them. She answered her phone constantly. She was always in the middle of a conversation about fixtures, about lumber. I stayed in the sunroom. I tried to read. The words blurred. The noise was constant. One afternoon, she came in. She held her phone. It's Leo, she said. On video call, he wants to say hello. She sat beside me. She angled the screen. My son's face appeared. He was in Singapore. It was night there. Hi, Mom, he said. He smiled. He looked tired. Leo, darling, how are you? I'm good, busy. Alara's been keeping me updated. Sounds like she's doing amazing things there, really getting the house in shape. Yes, I said. There's a lot of noise. For a good cause, Alara chimed in. She kept the phone steady. She's being a trooper, but I think it's wearing on her, the disruption. Leo's face softened with concern. Are you okay, Mom? I'm fine, I said. It's just temporary. Alara says your memory has been a little spotty, forgetting appointments, that sort of thing. I looked at Alara. She gave a small, worried shrug. Just little things, Leo, nothing major, but we're keeping an eye on it. I had not forgotten any appointments. I was sure of it. Well, listen to her, Mom, Leo said. His voice was gentle, long-distance gentle. She's right there. She knows what's going on. I feel better knowing she's with you. The call ended. Alara put her phone away. She patted my knee. See, he's reassured. That's what matters. She stood up. She went back to supervise the tile installation. I sat there. The sun moved across the floor. A feeling settled in my stomach. It was cold. It was heavy. It was the first seed of doubt. It grew quietly. A few days later, I couldn't find my reading glasses. They were my favorite pair, the lightweight ones. I always kept them on the nightstand. They weren't there. I looked around my bedroom. I checked the bathroom. I went downstairs. I asked Alara. My reading glasses are missing. Have you seen them? She was at the kitchen table. She was looking at her laptop. She glanced up. The red ones. Yes. I saw them in the fridge yesterday, Mom. I stared at her. In the fridge. Yes, on the top shelf, next to the milk. I put them back on your nightstand. Her tone was patient, a little amused. I didn't put them in the fridge. It's okay, she said. She smiled. It was a forgiving smile. Little lapses happen, no big deal. I got them for you. I went upstairs. The glasses were on my nightstand. I picked them up. They felt cold. Had they been in the fridge? I didn't remember. I truly didn't. That was the worst part, the not remembering. The next incident was my medication. I took 1 pill for blood pressure. In the morning, I had for 10 years. Alara had filled the new pill organizer. She showed it to me. See, morning, noon, evening, for each day, it's foolproof. On Wednesday, I opened the Wednesday morning slot. It was empty. Alara, I called. She was in the hallway. She came in. I showed her the empty compartment. I took the pill out for you this morning, she said. Her voice was calm. Remember, I brought you water, you swallowed it, I watched you. I searched my memory. I saw a haze, a morning blur. I often was foggy before my tea. I don't recall that. You were half asleep, she said. She touched my shoulder. It's fine, I'm keeping track, that's why I'm here. But I was sure I had not taken it. I felt the absence in my routine, a tiny skipped beat. I began to watch her more closely. I saw her talking to my friends. When Marjorie from Bridge called, Alara answered. I heard her from the next room. She's resting right now. Yes, a bit confused today, we're limiting her stimuli. Oh, I'll tell her you called. Marjorie didn't call back. When the contractor left for the day, Alara would walk him out. They spoke on the driveway. Their heads were close together. They talked for a long time. He would nod. He would look back at the house. I started writing things down in a small notebook. I hid it under my mattress. I wrote the date. I wrote what happened. March 14, glasses incident, says fridge, I don't remember. March 16, missing pill, says I took it. March 18, told Marjorie I was confused. The evidence was thin. It was just my word, and my word was becoming unstable. Then came the family dinner. Alara decided to host it. Our cousin Ben and his wife were in town. She planned a meal. She cooked for 2 days. The house smelled of rosemary and garlic. The night arrived. Ben and Claudia came. We sat in the dining room. The room was rarely used. My mother's silver candlesticks were out. They shone under the light. The conversation was light. We talked about travel. We talked about old times. Elara was charming. She poured wine. She told funny stories about her job. Then Claudia asked me a question. "Maggie, do you still paint? I loved those watercolors you did of the lake." I opened my mouth to answer. I did still paint, not as much, but sometimes. Elara spoke first. "Oh, she gave that up years ago, Claudia. Her hands, you know, the arthritis makes holding a brush too hard. It's a shame." Claudia looked sympathetic. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." My hands did ache sometimes, but not like that. I still had my supplies in the attic. I looked at Elara. She was cutting her meat. She didn't meet my eye. I began. Elara looked up. She smiled at me. It was a tight smile. "Mom, don't embarrass yourself. Remember last month? You tried to sketch a rose. You got so frustrated you tore the paper. We don't need to talk about it." Ben and Claudia were silent. They looked at their plates. I felt a hot flush on my neck. I had no memory of tearing paper. None. Was it true? Had it happened? The doubt was a chisel. It was cracking my certainty. "I must have forgotten," I whispered. "It's okay," Elara said. Her voice was sweet, soothing. "We all forget things." After that night, the world began to narrow. Elara suggested I stop driving. "Just for a bit," she said. "That hesitation you had at the stop sign last week, it scared me. Let's be safe. I can drive you anywhere." I didn't remember hesitating, but maybe I had. Safety was important. She collected my car keys. She said she would keep them safe. She fielded all phone calls. She said telemarketers were preying on me. She said friends were tiring me out. "You need your energy, Mom, for healing." Healing from what? I wasn't sick. But I began to feel sick, tired, unmoored. She started talking about the future, in quiet, caring tones. "This house is too much, Mom. When the renovations are done, it'll be lovely. And then we can sell it, for top dollar. You can buy a lovely, modern condo, 1 floor, no stairs, no yard. I've seen some beautiful assisted living places, too, just for down the road." Assisted living. The words hung in the air. They were thick and final. "I don't want to leave my home," I said. My voice sounded small, like a child. "It's not about want," she said softly. "It's about what's best, what's safe. Leo and I, we worry." She had spoken to Leo. Of course she had. One afternoon she was out, at a meeting with the contractor. The house was still. For the first time in weeks, it was quiet. I went into the study. I sat at the desk. I looked at the filing cabinet, her system. I opened the drawer labeled Household Current. I flipped through the files, utility bills, tax documents. Then I saw a new file. It was labeled Mom Capacity Assessment. My hands went cold. I pulled it out. Inside were printouts, emails. They were between Elara and a Dr. Armand. They discussed scheduling a neuropsychological evaluation, an assessment of decision-making capacity in light of observed cognitive decline. Observed by whom? By her. There was a draft letter from Elara to Leo. It outlined her concerns. It used phrases like inability to manage finances and significant short-term memory loss and potential for self-neglect. It proposed next steps, a power of attorney for finances and for health care to be granted to her for my own protection. The world tilted. The quiet in the house became a roar in my ears. This was the plan. It had always been the plan, the help, the care. It was a slow, soft takeover. I was being erased in the kindest possible way. I heard a car in the driveway. I quickly put the file back. I closed the drawer. I went to the sunroom. I sat in my chair. I picked up a book. My hands were shaking. Elara came in. She was humming. She looked at me. "Everything okay, Mom? You look pale." "Just a little tired," I said. "You should rest more," she said. "I'll make you some soup." She went to the kitchen. I sat very still. The fear was a solid thing now. It had shape. It had documents. It had a doctor's name on it. I had to be careful. I had to be very, very careful. I could not appear agitated. I could not appear confused. That would prove her point. I had to become perfectly calm. I had to become a still lake. On the surface, nothing. Below, everything. I began my own documentation, in earnest. I bought a new notebook, a cheap spiral one from the drugstore. I hid it in a different place every day. I wrote down everything, times, dates, quotes. I noted when she moved my things. I noted her contradictions. I recorded my own clear-headed actions. I balanced my old checkbook register. By hand, I did it slowly. I double-checked every figure. It balanced perfectly. I logged into my email. She had changed the password, but I had a tablet she'd forgotten about, in a drawer. I used the forgot password feature. I had access to my own accounts again, for a little while. I saw emails she had sent from my address, to Leo, to cousins. They were written in a simple, slightly vague style. They talked about being tired, about being happy for Alara's help. They didn't sound like me, but they were convincing. I forwarded them to a new email address I created, one she didn't know. I saved them. I needed legal advice, but how? I couldn't leave the house easily. She would want to know where I was going. I couldn't call a lawyer from the landline. She might listen. I waited for my bridge group. It was a Thursday. Alara usually went to the gym on Thursdays. She left me at the community center. She picked me up 2 hours later. That Thursday, I went to bridge. Mudgera was there. She looked at me with concern. "How are you, Muggy? Alara said you've been having a rough time." "I'm quite well, Mudgera," I said. My voice was steady. I smiled. "Would you do me a favor, a strange one?" "Of course." I handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter. It was a request for a consultation, addressed to a lawyer named Evelyn Croft. I had found her online. She specialized in elder law, in capacity disputes. Also in the envelope was a check, retainer, from my personal savings account. The one Alara hadn't found yet. It was an old account, from before Martin died. It had a few $1,000s in it. "Please mail this for me," I said. "From the post office, not a mailbox, and don't tell anyone." Mudgera looked at the envelope. She looked at me. Her eyes widened. Then they hardened with understanding. She nodded. She put the envelope in her purse. "Consider it done," she said. The following week, Alara told me about the appointment with Dr. Ummand. "Just a checkup," she said. "A specialist for peace of mind." "I already have a neurologist," I said. "Dr. Ovens." "Dr. Ovens is retired," Alara said smoothly. "His practice was taken over. This is his successor. It's just a formality." I knew Dr. Ovens had not retired. I had seen him 6 months ago, but arguing would look paranoid. It would look confused. "All right," I said. The appointment was in 10 days. I had 10 days. Mudgera called me on my cell phone. Alara had missed that one. It was in the bottom of my knitting bag. "Your lawyer called me," Mudgera whispered. "She got your letter. She wants to see you. She said it's urgent. She can come to you discreetly." We arranged it for a Tuesday afternoon. Alara had a long meeting with the roofer. Evelyn Croft arrived at 1 o'clock. She was in her 50s. She wore a sensible suit. She carried a leather satchel. She had a calm, sharp face. I let her in. We sat in the sunroom. I showed her my notebook. I told her everything, in a calm, sequential manner. I showed her my balanced checkbook. I showed her the emails I had saved. I told her about the file in the cabinet. She listened. She took notes. She did not interrupt. When I finished, she was silent for a moment. She looked out at the garden. "This is a classic case," she said finally. "It's called granny snatching, but it's usually not this sophisticated. Your daughter is methodical. She's building a paper trail. This doctor's assessment is key. If he writes a report questioning your capacity, her next step will be a petition for guardianship, or she'll pressure you to sign a power of attorney, voluntarily. What do I do? I asked. We fight it, she said. Quietly, we build a better paper trail. First, you need your own capacity assessment from a neutral expert. I have a name. We schedule it before her appointment. We get a clean bill of health first. It undermines her. She monitors everything. How do I get to an appointment? We'll say it's with a new cardiologist. For a second opinion on your blood pressure. I'll arrange a car service. She won't need to drive you. It was a plan, a real procedural plan. Second, Evelyn continued, we freeze the home equity line. Immediately, we revoke her access to your bank accounts. We will need to notify the bank in writing, with a letter from your new doctor. She'll be furious. Let her be furious. Her anger will reveal her motives. But you must be prepared. She may escalate. She may accuse you of being influenced. By me, by Mujara, she may try to isolate you further. I'm already isolated. Then we reestablish your connections. We start making your own calls in front of her. We show her you are not afraid, but we do it calmly. No drama. I took a deep breath. All right. One more thing, Evelyn said. Do you have your original will and any prior powers of attorney? In the safe deposit box at the bank. Martin and I made wills years ago. We left the house and assets to the children, equally. And the power of attorney. We named each other, then Leo, as successor if something happened to both of us. Evelyn's eyes glinted. Leo, not Allura. No, Martin. He had his reservations about Allura's practicality. He thought Leo was more steady. That is extremely important, Evelyn said. If she petitions for guardianship, Leo is your natural fiduciary, not her. Does Leo know any of this? No, she speaks to him. She tells him her version. We need to talk to Leo. Directly. You need to tell him your version before she preempts you with worse stories. My heart ached. Leo was so far away. He trusted his sister. He'll believe her. She's there. She has all the evidence. Then we get better evidence, Evelyn said firmly. We start now. The car came for me the next Friday. Allura was suspicious. A cardiologist. Which one? Why was I informed? It was a referral from Dr. Ovens, I said. I used the name deliberately. Before he retired, it just came through. She frowned. She wanted to come, but I said the car service was a courtesy from the clinic, only the patient. I went to the appointment. It was not with a cardiologist. It was with a geriatric psychiatrist named Dr. Vance. His office was quiet. His manner was thorough. He interviewed me for 2 hours. He asked about my life, my routine. He gave me memory tests. He gave me logic puzzles. He asked me to explain complex topics. He asked about current events. At the end, he smiled, a genuine smile. Mrs. Alder, you are sharp as a tack. Your memory is well within normal limits for your age. Your reasoning is sound. There is no clinical evidence of cognitive impairment. None. He wrote a report. He gave me a copy. It was 3 pages long. It was clear. It was definitive. I held the paper. It felt like a shield. The following Monday, Evelyn and I went to the bank. We met with the branch manager. I presented my ID. I presented Dr. Vance's report. I revoked the joint account status. I removed Allura's name. I closed the home equity line application. I froze everything. The manager was professional. He asked a few questions. He processed the forms. It will take effect immediately, he said. Allura found out that evening. She tried to pay for groceries online. The card was declined. She came into the living room. Her face was white. Her phone was in her hand. Mom, what's going on with the bank account? I looked up from my book. I made some changes today. What changes? Her voice was tight. I decided to manage my own finances again. I closed the line of credit. The renovations can stop. She stared at me. The mask of care slipped. For a second, I saw pure, unadulterated fury. It was there in her eyes, then it was gone, replaced by hurt, by concern. Mom, you can't do that. You don't understand what you've done. The contracts. We have signed contracts with a contractor. We'll be sued. Then we will cancel them, I said. My voice was quiet. I will pay any cancellation fees out of my savings. Your savings? What savings? Mom, you're not thinking clearly. Who have you been talking to? Was it Mujara, that busybody? I have been talking to my lawyer, Alura. The silence that followed was absolute. It filled the room like a gas. Yeah, lawyer. She said the word as if it were poison. Why do you need a lawyer? To understand my rights, to protect my home. She took a step back. She regrouped. Her expression softened into pity. Oh, Mom, this is exactly what I was afraid of. The paranoia, the suspicion. This is a symptom. You're not well. You need to see Dr. Ummand. He can help you. I have seen a doctor, I said. I reached for my bag. I pulled out Dr. Vance's report. I handed it to her. She took it. She scanned the pages. Her eyes moved quickly. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She looked at the final summary, the conclusion. She threw the papers on the coffee table. They scattered. This is a quack. Who is this Dr. Vance? I've never heard of him. He's not your doctor. My doctor is the specialist. He will give us the real picture. The real picture is that I am competent, I said, and I want you to move out. Another silence. This one was colder. Move out, she repeated. Yes, your help is no longer needed. Thank you for your efforts, but I am fine now. She laughed. It was a short, harsh sound. You are not fine. You are making a huge mistake. You are going to lose this house. You are going to get hurt. And when you do, Leo and I will have to step in and clean up the mess. It will be so much harder then. It was a threat, a quiet, dignified threat. I understand your concern, I said. I used her own language, the language of care. But my decision is made. I would like you to pack your things. You can stay until the end of the week. She looked at me for a long moment. She seemed to be evaluating a new creature, one she had not seen before. Fine, she said finally. Her voice was clipped. But this isn't over, Mom. This is a cry for help, and I will help you, even if you don't want it. She turned and walked out of the room. The next 2 days were tense. She stayed in her room. She was on the phone constantly. I heard her talking to Leo. Her voice was low, urgent. I heard her say crisis and break and urgent intervention. I knew what was coming, the secondary attack. She moved out on Friday. She took her boxes. She took the electric kettle. She took the digital photo frame. She left the pill organizer on the counter, an empty plastic shell. The house was mine again. It was quiet, but the quiet felt different. It felt like the calm before a storm. I called Leo. It was early morning in Singapore. He answered, his voice thick with sleep. Mom, is everything okay? I need to talk to you, Leo, without Alura. He was silent for a beat. She called me. She's really worried, Mom. She says you've had a psychotic break, that you've hired some lawyer who's exploiting you, that you're draining your accounts. None of that is true, I said. I kept my voice even. Alura has been trying to gain control of my finances, of the house. She brought in a doctor to declare me incompetent. I got my own evaluation. I am perfectly sound. I have the report. I can send it to you. She says you forged that, he said. His voice was pained. Mom, listen to yourself. This sounds paranoid. Alura has been there. She's seen you day to day. I haven't. I have to rely on her judgment. You can rely on mine, I said. My heart was breaking, slowly. I am your mother. I raised you. Do you remember the man I am? He sighed, a long, tired sound. I remember, but people change, they age, things happen. Maybe you should just let her help for a little while until we can all be sure. He was lost to me, for now. She had gotten to him first. The narrative was set. I was the confused, paranoid mother. She was the devoted, thwarted daughter. I understand, I said. I will send you the documents anyway. Please look at them. I will, he said, but I knew he wouldn't, not really. 3 days later, the legal papers arrived, served by a process server at my door. It was a petition filed by Alara Alder in the county probate court. It was a petition for temporary guardianship of my person and my estate. The grounds were listed: mental deterioration, financial mismanagement, vulnerability to undue influence, self-neglect. Attached were exhibits, emails she had sent from my account, photos of the cluttered study from before she came, a statement from the contractor about my confusion over the work orders, an affidavit from Dr. Armand stating he had significant concerns based on his pre-assessment interview with Alara. He had not even examined me. The hearing was set for 3 weeks from now. This was the battle, not in the kitchen, not with raised voices, in a courtroom with documents, with procedures. Evelyn Croft was ready. This is what we expected, she said. We respond. We file a motion to dismiss. We submit Dr. Vance's report. We submit your financial records. We show a pattern of her manipulation. We worked. We assembled our evidence. It was a mountain of paper, bank statements, canceled checks, my daily notebooks, affidavits from Marjorie, from 2 other bridge friends. They stated I was coherent. I was engaged. I was myself. Evelyn also filed a counterpetition for a restraining order to prevent Alara from interfering with my finances or from entering my home without my permission. The legal machinery ground to life. It was slow. It was expensive. It was exhausting. Alara's lawyer deposed me. It was a video call. Her lawyer was a man with a bored voice. He asked me trick questions. He tried to trip me up on dates, on amounts of money. I answered slowly. I referred to my notes. I did not get flustered. I deposed Alara. Evelyn asked the questions. She asked about the joint account, about the home equity line, about her conversations with the contractor. Alara's answers were smooth. They were all framed as concern, as necessary steps for my safety. But Evelyn kept pressing, on the timing, on the fact that she had never consulted me about the major renovations, on the fact that she had canceled my subscriptions without asking. Isn't it true, Evelyn asked, that you stand to gain financially from the sale of your mother's house? I stand to gain nothing, Alara said. Her voice was wounded. Any proceeds would go to her care in a managed facility. And who would manage those proceeds? As her guardian, I would, to ensure they weren't squandered. And you would be paid a guardian's fee from those proceeds, correct, as allowed by state law. A modest fee for a great deal of work. Work that you initiated, Evelyn said quietly. The hearing date arrived. It was not a dramatic trial. It was in a small conference room. In the probate court, there was a judge, a court reporter, the lawyers, Alara and I. The judge was a woman in her 60s. She had a tired, intelligent face. She read the filings. She listened to the arguments. Alara's lawyer spoke first. He painted a picture. A frail, aging woman, a house in disrepair, a daughter stepping in, a mother's subsequent spiral into paranoia, fueled by a lawyer seeking fees. He presented Dr. Armand's affidavit, a specialist's professional concern. Then Evelyn spoke. She was methodical. She presented Dr. Vance's report. She presented the bank records. She showed the timeline, Alara's arrival, the rapid consolidation of financial control, the initiation of major debt against the home, the emails to Leo. She presented my notebooks. This is not the work of a confused mind. This is the work of a woman documenting her own erasure. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Alder, do you wish to remain in your home? Yes, Your Honor, it is my home. Do you believe you can care for yourself? I have for the 7 years since my husband died. I can now. The judge asked Alara a question. Ms. Alder, if your mother is so impaired, why did you not seek a medical evaluation first, before adding your name to her accounts, before applying for a substantial line of credit? Alara's composure flickered. It was a process. The financial issues were immediate, the safety issues. I was addressing the most pressing needs first. The most pressing need being access to her money, the judge asked. Her tone was neutral. To protect her money, Alara corrected, but it sounded weak. The judge deliberated for a week. We received the ruling by mail. The petition for temporary guardianship was denied, dismissed with prejudice, meaning she could not refile it easily. The court found that Alara had failed to meet the burden of proof. It found my own medical evidence more credible. It noted the troubling pattern of financial actions taken before any assessment of capacity. The restraining order was granted. Alara was prohibited from interfering with my finances. She was prohibited from entering my property without my written consent. She was ordered to return any personal documents in her possession. It was a complete victory, on paper. But it was not over, not really. Alara did not return the documents. She ignored the order. Evelyn filed a motion for contempt. Then a new letter arrived. From the county's Adult Protective Services, a report had been filed, an anonymous report, alleging self-neglect, alleging hoarding, alleging exploitation by a lawyer. APS was required to investigate. A social worker came to my door, a young woman with a kind smile. She asked to see the house. She asked about my meals. She looked in my fridge, it was stocked. She looked at my bathroom, it was clean. She saw the rolled-up rug in the living room. She saw the half-finished bathroom renovation, the gaping hole where a tub had been. What happened here? She asked. My daughter started renovations. I stopped them. I am in a dispute with the contractor over completion. The social worker nodded. She took notes. She interviewed me. She found me coherent. She saw the legal papers on the table. This looks like a family dispute, she said gently. Not a case of self-neglect. I will close the report. But I am required to tell you, someone who cares about you is very worried. Someone is trying to control me, I said. There is a difference. She gave me her card. She left. The contempt hearing was short. The judge was annoyed. She ordered Alara to comply within 48 hours or face fines. Or jail. Alara returned a box of papers. She left it on the porch. She did not ring the bell. Inside were my old tax returns, my marriage certificate, and a single framed photograph of her and Leo as children. On the back, in my handwriting, it said, "My treasures, 1995. It was a message, a final emotional dagger. The war shifted then, from the courts to the shadows, to reputation. I heard from a distant cousin. Alara had called her. She had said I was in cognitive decline, that I was being manipulated by a predatory lawyer, that the family should circle the wagons. She suggested a family intervention. The cousin was suspicious. She called me. I told her the truth. She believed me, but others might not. Evelyn advised a final, decisive move. We need to sever the financial tie completely. Update your will. Update your powers of attorney. Make it ironclad. Name someone else. A professional fiduciary or a trusted friend. Remove her entirely. And tell Leo, formally. I updated my will. I left the house and my assets in a trust. Upon my death, the trust would benefit Leo, and a charity for adult literacy. My passion. Alara was named. She would receive $1, the legal minimum, to prevent a claim of being forgotten. The power of attorney for finances. I named Evelyn's firm as a corporate agent. The power of attorney for health care. I named Marjorie as my agent. I signed the documents. They were notarized. They were witnessed by two people Alara had never met. I sent copies to Leo with a long, detailed letter. I included the court order. I included Dr. Vance's report. I included a timeline I had written, from my perspective. I did not ask for his belief. I simply presented the facts, as I knew them. He did not respond for a long time. Then one evening, my phone rang, a Singapore number. "Mom," it was Leo. He sounded older. "I got your package. I read everything. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." "I will be." "The summer I was 16, I broke my arm. How did it happen?" "It was a test of my memory, or a test of my honesty." "You didn't break it," I said. "You sprained your wrist, badly. You fell off your skateboard in the driveway. You were trying to impress a girl named Chloe. You told everyone you broke it. You wore a cast your friend made out of papier-mâché. I drove you to physical therapy twice a week for a month." There was a long silence on the line, then a sound, a choked sound. It might have been a sob. "She said you wouldn't remember that," he whispered. "She said your long-term memory was going, too." "She was wrong," I said. My voice was quiet, steady. "I remember everything, Leo. I always have." That was the turning point, the quiet, factual detail that broke the spell. Leo called Alara. I don't know what he said, but she stopped. The reports stopped. The calls to family stopped. The legal maneuvers stopped. She moved to another city. She took a new job. She did not call. She did not write. The contractor sued me for breach of contract. Evelyn handled it. We settled. I paid a fee for my savings. It was worth it. The bathroom was repaired. Simply, the rug was unrolled. It lay in the hall again. The house was quiet. It was my quiet again. That was 5 years ago. I still live in the house. The tulips come up every spring. I still paint. My hands are a bit stiffer, but I manage. Leo visits now. Once a year, we are careful with each other. There is a scar, but it is healing. He carries guilt. I do not add to it. It serves no purpose. I think of Alara sometimes. Not often. When I do, I feel no rage. I feel a deep, hollow sadness. A sadness for the daughter I thought I had. A sadness for the love that was really a transaction. The justice was quiet. It was in the judge's order. It was in the returned documents. It was in Leo's phone call. It was in the trust document that now governs my estate. It was not satisfying in a dramatic way. It was simply factual. It was the restoration of a boundary, a line that had been slowly, carefully erased. It was the reaffirmation of my own mind. The aftermath is a long, flat plain. There is peace here, but it is a peace born of a great weariness. I am safe. I am in control. But I am also alone in a way I never was before. Even when Martin died, I had my children. Now I have one, and I have the ghost of the other. I keep my notebooks. They fill a box in the study. I do not read them. Their purpose is served. Sometimes in the evening, I sit in the sunroom. I watch the light fade. I think about care, how it can be a cage, how love can be a weapon, how the softest voice can deliver the hardest verdict. I survived, not with a shout, but with a whisper, not with a blow, but with a document, not with tears, but with a list of facts. The house is quiet. I am quiet. But I wonder, in the end, which of us is more alone? Me in my restored house with its memories, or her in her new city with her victory that never was? The seasons turned. The quiet in the house deepened from a temporary state into a permanent condition. It was not an empty quiet. It was a quiet of my own choosing. I filled it with the sounds I liked. The scratch of a paintbrush on paper, the kettle whistling on the stove, the turning of a page. Leo's yearly visits became a ritual. He would come in the fall. The air would be crisp. The leaves would be turning. His presence was careful. He was gentle. He did not ask probing questions. He helped with small tasks. He cleared the gutters. He checked the furnace filter. He did these things without being asked. They were his offering. We spoke of safe things. His work, his life in Singapore, the books I was reading, the progress of the giant maple in the backyard. We did not speak of Alara. Her name was a hole in our conversation, a space we walked around. On his third visit, he brought it up. We were having tea. The late afternoon sun slanted across the kitchen table. "She's in Denver," he said. His voice was neutral, a simple fact. "She's working for a property development firm." I nodded. I sipped my tea. "I hope she is well." He looked at me. His eyes searched my face, for bitterness, for anger. He found none. "She's not really. She's hard. She talks about metrics and leverage. She doesn't talk about people." "That was always her language," I said. "Even as a child, she quantified things, how many friends, what grades, what things cost." "I should have seen it," he said. "The guilt was right there, on the surface." "You were far away," I said. "And she is your sister. You loved her. It is not a crime to believe someone you love." "I didn't believe you," he said. The words were heavy. "You do now," I said. "That is what matters." The visit ended. He left with a long hug. It felt more solid than the ones before. After he was gone, I realized the estate planning was not truly finished. The legal threat was gone, but the practical threat of age remained. I was healthy, but I was also 78. Things could change quickly. A fall, a stroke, an illness. If I were incapacitated, even temporarily, the machinery could start again. Alara might hear of it. She might try to intervene. My documents named Marjorie for healthcare, but Marjorie was my age. What if she was unavailable? The corporate power of attorney was for finances, not for personal care. I needed a system, a fail-safe, something that would activate automatically, without need for a family member to initiate it. I called Evelyn Croft. She was semi-retired, but she took my call. "I need a fortress," I told her. "Not for now, for if I am not able to speak." She understood. A living trust is your fortress, but it needs a gatekeeper, more than one. We designed a plan. I created a revocable living trust. I transferred the house into it. I transferred my investments. I was the trustee. While I was competent, I controlled everything. If I became incapacitated, a successor trustee would take over. Not a person, a committee. It consisted of 3 entities: Evelyn's law firm, my bank's trust department, and a professional care manager, a woman named Sarah whom Evelyn recommended. All decisions required a majority vote of the committee. No single person could control my assets or my care. The trust instructions were meticulous. They outlined my wishes for care. I wanted to remain at home if possible, with paid help. They specified the agency to be used, one known for its integrity. They outlined a budget. They also contained a specific clause. It was called an exclusion provision. It stated that if any person, specifically naming Alara Alder, attempted to challenge the trust or my capacity, that person would be explicitly disinherited from any other assets not in the trust. And the trustee was instructed to use trust funds to defend against any such challenge. It was a legal moat. I also created an advance directive. It was video recorded. In the video, I sat in my sunroom. I stated my name, the date. I spoke clearly. I said I was of sound mind. I outlined my wishes for medical care. I named Marjorie as my primary healthcare agent. I named Sarah, the care manager, as the secondary. At the end of the video, I looked directly into the camera. I spoke to any future judge. "If you are viewing this," I said, "it is because someone has questioned my capacity. I want you to know my wishes directly from me. I do not want my daughter, Alara Alder, making decisions for me. Our relationship is broken. I do not trust her motives. Please honor my choices." I signed the documents. They were notarized. The video was witnessed and notarized as well. Copies went to Evelyn, to my bank, to my primary care doctor, to Marjorie, to Sarah. I kept a set in a fireproof box in the study. I told Leo where it was. I gave him the combination. "This is my voice," I told him on the phone. "If I cannot speak, this will speak for me." "I understand, Mom," he said. His voice was thick. "It's smart." "It's necessary," I said. With the fortress built, a strange peace settled over me. The fear that had lived in my stomach for years finally uncoiled. It left a quiet space, a space for something else. I began to volunteer at the adult literacy charity I had named in my trust. I went 2 days a week. I worked with adults. They were learning to read, to write a sentence, to fill out a job application. It was concrete work. It was humble. It was the opposite of grand designs and property leverage. We celebrated small victories. A man reading a bus schedule for the first time. A woman writing her child's name without hesitation. It grounded me. In these rooms, my story was irrelevant. I was just Maggie, the patient lady with the gentle voice. 2 more years passed. Then a letter arrived. It was from a law firm, not Evelyn, a firm in Denver. The return address made my heart give a single hard thump. I opened it. It was formal. It was a notice. Elara Alder was filing a petition in the Denver probate court. She was seeking to be appointed as the conservator for her mother. Me. She alleged I was a resident of Colorado. I read it twice. The absurdity was breathtaking. I was not a resident of Colorado. I had never set foot in Colorado. My driver's license, my voter registration, my taxes, my doctor, all were here, in my home state. This was a new tactic. If she could establish jurisdiction in Colorado, she could start the process over. In a court that didn't have the history, that didn't have the previous order, she could claim I had moved to be near her, that I was isolated and confused. It was a long shot, a desperate one, but it would require a response. It would require money. It would require energy. I felt a tired anger, not a hot anger, a cold, weary one. Would this never end? I called Evelyn. She was fully retired, but she listened. "It's frivolous," she said, "but you must crush it immediately, or she will keep trying in different states, with different excuses. She's testing your resolve and your resources." "What do I do?" "You hire local counsel in Denver, a good probate litigator. You file a motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. You attach every document, the previous court order, your driver's license, your deed, your medical records. You ask for sanctions. You ask her to pay your legal fees for this frivolous filing." "Will that work?" "It will show her you are not a tired old woman. You are a fortress with a long reach. She needs to understand that any attack will be expensive and futile." I hired the lawyer in Denver. His name was David Chen. He was sharp. He was efficient. He filed a blistering motion to dismiss. He attached a mountain of evidence. He included the video of my advance directive. He asked for sanctions. The hearing was by telephone. I did not have to go. My lawyer argued. Her lawyer argued. The Colorado judge was not amused. He dismissed the petition with prejudice. He found it was filed in bad faith. He ordered Elara to pay a portion of my legal fees, $5,000. The order came in the mail. A copy went to Elara. I heard nothing. No check arrived. David Chen told me collecting the fee would be another legal process. It might cost more than it was worth. "The point was made," he said. "The order is on the record. She won't try that again." I believed him, but I also knew the nature of the person I was dealing with. She would not forgive this humiliation. She would store it. She would let it fester. I was right. 6 months later, I received a package. It was a plain brown box, no return address. It was postmarked from Denver. Inside, there was no note, only objects. My mother's silver teaspoon, A single earring I had lost years ago, a small porcelain figurine of a cat that had been on my dresser when Alara was a child, and a photograph. It was of me, taken from outside my house. Through the sunroom window, I was sitting in my chair, reading. It was recent. The tulips were up in the background. It was a message, a threat. It said, "I am still here, I am watching, I can reach you." My blood ran cold. This was different from legal papers. This was personal. This was intimate. This was violation. I called the local police. A young officer came. He looked at the items. He looked at the photograph. He was sympathetic, but he was pragmatic. "This is creepy," he said, "but it's not illegal. The items are yours. She returned them. The photo was taken from a public street. There's no threatening note." "It's harassment," I said. "It is," he agreed, "but proving who sent it would be hard. And without a direct threat, it's not a criminal matter. It's a civil matter, a restraining order." I already had a restraining order from the probate court. It prohibited financial interference and entering my property. It did not prohibit mailing packages or taking photographs from the street. I called Evelyn. She was angered. "We need to broaden the order. We go back to court. We get a personal conduct restraining order based on a pattern of harassment." We went back to court. The same probate judge. I presented the box, the photograph, the history, the Denver filing. The judge listened. Her face was stern. She amended the restraining order. It now prohibited Alara from contacting me in any way, by mail, by email, by third party. It prohibited her from coming within 500 feet of my home. It was a stronger wall. But walls only work if the person on the other side respects them. I began to be more careful. I drew the blinds in the sunroom at night. I installed a camera at my front door, a simple one. It notified my phone of motion. I told Marjorie. I told Sarah, the care manager. I told Leo. Leo was furious. His guilt turned into a protective rage. He called Alara. I do not know what he said, but he told me afterward, "It's done. She won't bother you again." "You can't know that," I said. "I know," he said. His voice was grim. "I know things about her now, things she doesn't want shared. I made that clear." A sibling's threat, the most potent kind. I didn't ask for details. I didn't want to know. The packages stopped. The sense of being watched faded. The seasons turned again. My world became small by choice. My house, my garden, the literacy center, my small circle of friends, Marjorie, a few others from Bridge. We met for tea. We did not talk about family dramas. We talked about books, about recipes, about the annoying new traffic pattern downtown. It was a good life, a simple life. It was my life. Then last spring I had a fall. It was stupid. I was in the garden. I reached for a weed. I lost my balance. I fell against the stone border of the flower bed. I broke my hip. The pain was immense, white and shocking. I could not move. I was wearing a medical alert pendant. I pressed it. The ambulance came. They took me to the hospital. Surgery, a metal pin, rehabilitation. It was the very scenario I had feared. The scenario Alara had predicted. An elderly woman, alone, a fall. But my fortress activated. Marjorie was called. She came to the hospital. She brought my advance directive, my healthcare power of attorney. She spoke to the doctors. Sarah, the care manager, was notified. She visited me in the hospital. She assessed the situation. She arranged for home health care, for physical therapy. She communicated with the trustee committee. The bank's trust officer approved the expenses. Evelyn's firm monitored the process. I was vulnerable, but I was not powerless. The system I built worked. It worked quietly, efficiently, without family drama. I was in the rehab center for 3 weeks. Leo flew in. He stayed for a week. He was helpful. He was kind. He saw the system in action. He saw me being cared for with respect, without panic. One afternoon, he sat by my bed. I was tired. The physical therapy was brutal. "She called me," he said quietly. "Ilara, she found out. From a Google alert on my name, I think. She knew I'd flown here." I closed my eyes. What did she say? "She said, see, I told you, she needs proper care, not a committee." She offered to come to take charge. "What did you say?" "I told her the system was working. I told her she was not welcome. I told her if she came near you, I would enforce the restraining order myself, and I would publish what I know about her business practices in Denver." He said it calmly. It was not a threat made in anger. It was a statement of fact. "Thank you, Leo," I whispered. "It's the least I can do, Mom, the very least." I recovered, slowly. I returned home. A physical therapist came 3 times a week. A home health aide came daily to help with bathing and meals. The house was different with strangers in it, but they were kind strangers. They were employees of a reputable agency. They did their jobs. They were respectful. I missed my absolute privacy, but I appreciated the help. During this time, I received one more communication. It was not from Ilara. It was from a woman named Annette. She was a paralegal at Evelyn's old firm. She was handling the routine trust administration. She sent a formal letter. It stated that the trust had received a written inquiry from Ilara Alder. She was requesting an accounting of the trust's expenditures, specifically the funds spent on my care after my fall. She cited her concern as a daughter and hinted at potential financial exploitation by professional fiduciaries. It was a probe, a testing of the fortress walls. Annette's letter included her response. It was a masterpiece of legal courtesy and steel. She provided a single-page summary. It showed the amounts paid to the home health agency, to the physical therapist, to the medical supply company. It was all within the budget outlined in the trust. The letter concluded, "Per the terms of the trust and the standing court orders, you are not a beneficiary and have no legal standing to request further information. Any future inquiries of this nature will be deemed harassment and will be reported to the appropriate authorities and may trigger the exclusion provision of the trust." I never heard from Ilara again, in any form. That was 2 years ago. My hip healed. I walk with a cane now. For stability, I am slower, but I am still here. The home health aide still comes, once a week. To help with deeper cleaning, I manage the rest. Leo visits every 6 months now. He brings his wife. Clara, she is a gentle woman, a botanist. She loves my garden. We have found a new peace, a tri-peace, between the 3 of us. The Literacy Center gave me a small award last month for 10 years of service. They called me a steadfast friend to learners. I hung the plaque in the kitchen. It means more to me than any family heirloom. I sit in my sunroom most afternoons. The light is still good there. I watch the birds. I read. I sometimes paint. Simple watercolors of the garden. They are not masterpieces, but they are mine. The past is a country I no longer visit. It is full of shadows and old pain. The present is here, in this room, in this light. The justice I got was not the justice of storybooks. There was no moment of tearful apology, no dramatic confrontation where she saw the error of her ways. There was no reconciliation. There was only the law, the slow, grinding machinery of the law, and my own stubborn will. We built a wall, brick by brick, document by document, hearing by hearing. The wall held. She is on one side, I am on the other. Sometimes, in the deepest quiet, I think about the first box, the one she brought, the electric kettle, the digital photo frame, the pill organizer. It was all offered as help, as care. That was the cruelest part. It looked like love. It sounded like love. It used the language of love. But it was not love. It was a slow, quiet violence, a violence of erasure. It sought to replace my will with hers, my judgment with her control, my life with her management of it. I fought it not with her weapons, not with manipulation, not with emotional pleas. I fought it with facts, with dates, with doctors' reports, with bank statements, with the calm, repetitive truth of my own competence. I won. But winning in a case like this is a hollow victory. You win back your autonomy. You win back your home. But you lose a daughter. You lose the story you told yourself about your family. You lose the future you imagined for your old age. You are left with a different future, a quieter one, a lonelier one perhaps, but it is yours. It is authentic. The sun is low now. It casts long shadows across the lawn. The tulips are just green leaves. Their bloom is over for the year. I am tired. It is a good tired. The tired of a day lived on my own terms. I will make a simple dinner. I will watch a little television. I will go to bed early. Tomorrow, I will go to the literacy center. I will work with a man named Carlos. He is learning to read so he can read to his newborn granddaughter. We are on the letter G. It is a good thing to do. It is a small thing, but it is real. My story is almost over. Not my life, but the story of the battle, the war of quiet control. It ended not with a bang, but with a legal letter, a cease and desist. It ended with a wall of documents so high she could not climb it. That is the modern justice. It is paper justice. It is quiet justice. It is unsatisfying to the soul that craves drama, but it is effective. I am safe. I am in my home. I am myself. That has to be enough. And it is. The room is growing dark. I should turn on a light. But I will sit here for a moment longer. In the fading light, I will listen to the quiet of my house. It is my quiet now, earned, paid for. I think of her in Denver, in her world of metrics and leverage. I wonder if she ever thinks of me. I wonder if she feels the hole she carved between us, or if she has filled it with other plans, other projects. I will never know. And that perhaps is the final sentence of our story, not a period, but a long, lingering ellipsis. The question that remains is not for her. It is for me. It is the one I ask myself in these quiet moments as the day gives way to night. Was it worth it, this long, quiet war for a quiet life? The answer comes back, as clear as the tea I drank this morning. Yes, it was. But here is the harder question, the one that haunts the edges of my peace, the one I can only ask when the room is dark and the memories are close. If love can be a weapon and care can be a cage, how do you ever know when the hand that reaches out to help is truly an open one?